Hello, welcome to the Astro Cosmic Hour with Michelle Chiquan. Today's guest, we have an incredible intuitive psychic reader, Tegan, who's actually has a lot of client base internationally, and people come back to her and so forth. So Tegan is like, let's talk about how you started and what is all your project and your process of all doing tarot cards. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm really happy to be here. And it's there's so many interesting ways to talk about the work that I do and the commonalities of being in this world as a sensitive, intuitive person. And we all have our own different gifts. So I'm really grateful to have the time to share a little window into my process. So thank you.
Thank you. So, how does your gift? How long do you have your gift? Or what clicked to see your gift for you?
I in my kind of like late 20s, early 30s, I had a serious accident. I'm going to call it a near-death experience, because there was this point of surrender in situation where I was like, I just surrendered, and I'm like, if this is my time to go, it's my time to go. And I had that, all those. That's a separate podcast getting into that story. But let's just say, moving forward from that time, recalibrating my health and finding my way moving forward after this trauma, I had a sense that my spirit wasn't fully in my body. And up until that point, I'd never really given much thought around intuition, feeling, spirit. It was more fun. I was in the art scene. I was, really into creating and connecting and having very, different type of life, a big outer extended life. Mm-hmm. And now for the first time, my attention was directed inward. And so in my recovery process, I experimented and had some really great teachers with, tarot. Not before I got to tarot, it was yoga. I had some really good teachers with yoga, mindfulness, meditation, this kind of integration of the mind, body, spirit. And that was essential for in my recovery, let's say. And then a few years later, around 2007, a friend gifted me a tarot reading. I was in Calgary at this point, and she's like, just go, Tegan, just go see this reader. She's amazing. And I didn't really know. I heard about tarot. I didn't really know it was a real thing people could do. So I went, and it was just such a powerful experience to be seen on such a deep level, soulful level. And I was, deeply touched by the thoughtfulness of this reader, what she brought forward for me. And so we worked together. She's like, I can, if you want to kind of dig into some of the shadow that's coming out for you, I'll help you. But she also was like, and if you don't, she's like, that doesn't really matter to me. I don't have an investment, but it's your shadow stuff is not going to go away. So at some point, you might want to address this. And she helped me understand myself much better through tarot. And I was hooked. I learned how to read the cards from her. I practiced a little bit of an excitement, an addiction energy came in. Once I had this tool, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see everything. Like, I need to read more. I need to connect with other people. So I would say, around 2007, this whole world, this intuitive world really came online for me in a huge way. And it kind of found me. I mean, this was not a path I felt like many generations had done it, and I was following in the footsteps. I was kind of stumbled upon this really beautiful practice.
I'd be curious if you were doing, let's say, a past life regression, to know if there's a past life into the psychic. You never know. When we do that, sometimes we discover it's like, oh, okay, we don't have immediate family or that we remember, but sometimes when we do a past life regression, sometimes it shows up. You never know, right? It's like, because it's an important.
I 100% agree. Like, I am on board with what you're saying, and and how all of us, everybody has many, many lives. It's very rare it'll be almost unusual at this time to meet somebody who's like a first time soul,
I
I
know.
would, in my opinion. And so, what are the gifts that want to come in from the past? How do we access them? How do we know these deeper truths, whether it's in our dreams or through our intuitive gifts, or we're going to get a session to help bridge that connection.
Yeah. What do you do to prepare yourself? Like as a table, like do you have like your favorite things that you lay down on the table? And because we all do, we all have our own little magical mindset or something that we do. It's like, I call it hocus pocus that we all do. I don't know. It's very weird for people what tools that they have, and I know it's very symbolic to us. It's give us like the lights and so forth and the vision. So, what are your tools that you use on the table?
Yes, it's creating that sacred space. And so I'm really lucky, working on Zoom. I have the freedom to be in a space where I have the art and the lighting and the plants that feel really comfortable for me. But I'm a tactile, sensual person, so I have a gold velvet cloth, that tablecloth that I work with because I like the way it hugs the cards as I lay them out, the feeling of it. My hands are so sensitive, and it's just I'm using my hands a lot. I have a beautiful amethyst here. I have a braid of sweetgrass, and birds are very symbolic for me. So I've got my feathers
Yep.
and paintings of birds. So I just feel the space that I work in is to allow me to feel most comfortable in myself, because I go in quite deeply within myself to connect with others. And that's where it's a very embodied practice for me. So all my comforts.
So, since you have experienced meditation in the past and so forth, do you meditate before getting into a session? Usually, you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, at this stage, I've been reading for people, like I said, since 2007, so it's been quite a while. Directly before working with the client, I do set my space with my words. I call in the directions, north, south, east, west, or sky, heart. I grid the space to be in the highest service and mutual benefit to both of us for clarity, well-being, understanding. And I'll even say this, communicate this intention when I directly connect and at the beginning of a session with the client, so they can also feel and share in that vibration that we're doing this together, that this is a collaborative connection, that I'm not here to like probe or knock down any walls. I'm here to reflect and translate the information that they feel is in their highest good to be received in the session. So a lot to do with permission. And in that agreement, I honor that space by having my own energy field and my own physical space in the most pristine, like clarity, grounded, clean energy. So, yeah, I'm
So you
kind of a
really,
hermit who lives in the forest, but it allows me to go really deep with my clients, and I get a tremendous amount of nourishment from that.
nice. So, did you notice with the new era of Zoom and versus in person, do you find there's a bit of difference, or you still be able to connect? Because I believe Zoom, it's possible to connect. Like I connect with you, I totally like the first few minutes we chatted. I was like, oh my god, I love this girl. I was like, she's amazing. Like we do have that connection. I find it doesn't change anything. For some people that are skeptical about Zoom, like it's very
Yeah.
important to know that it's okay, right?
It is okay, absolutely. I like Zoom more than the phone because I talk a lot with my hands. It helps. Sometimes I can express more visually. But in fact, I feel I'm positive. Zoom readings go deeper, faster. More information comes in. It's a more clear connection, because when I'm in person with somebody, although I do love that, I can't help but be aware of their emotional fluctuations. I say something they're excited to hear, then my unconscious tendency is to feed into that a little bit more or over explain if there's a resistance, because we don't have that physical energy, emotional connection through the
Mm-hmm.
computer, I it's more in, how do I describe it? More in the energetic field
Yeah.
that doesn't really have that much emotion when you're looking at a soul level, right? It's not our embodied heart has the emotion. Our soul path is a little bit more objective.
Yeah.
So,
I personally find Zoom reading,
yeah.
I found a bit easier because people are less distracted than when they come to my house. They look at everything. Their mind is there, but they want to know, but they're so distracted by everything around them. They're just like, oh, she has this, oh, she has that. And it's like, and then you disconnect. Like it's not a connection, a direct connection. I find when people are in their own home, in their own and place, they're more calm, they're more receptive, and
Yes.
I just find it's less distracting for people. So it's like having a bad connection with the old dial-up connection in the old day. Beep, 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 beep. It's like, oh my God, are you on? I just find it's like the connection is more clear for some reason. I know it feels like for so long I used to think it's impersonal, but I'm like, at the same time, I find people are focused. Right?
And yeah, they weren't navigating traffic or out in the weather. They can be cozy, or they can just, if they could be in the middle of their workday and then go to a private little space to tap into themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. I think that doing intuitive work, we need that whoever we're working with to feel as grounded within themselves as possible.
Yeah. So I know I sent you this question. The urge of talking to a pure stranger sometimes. Because sometimes we know things, we feel things. Personally, at work, I know things. For me, it's more frustrating because I work part-time as a flight attendant on planes. And sometimes I tell people, say, can you hold on to your juice? And they look at me weird. And 2 minutes later, ding, I'm like, yeah, you drop your juice. I know. Just like, I hate knowing. Sometimes I don't like knowing, but it's like, I'll give them warning, but I can't do more than I could. And it's like, so I don't know if you had the urge sometimes to tell people, it's like, I get a message, or do you feel that at times?
I love your example, and I bless your heart for being a flight attendant because you have so many people and there's all the different energies they're bringing. So I just want to acknowledge what you do because that's a big place to be in as an intuitive. And I would say yes, but I really like having chats with neighbors, strangers. I have a dog. It's easy to talk to other dog people. I find it very open and lovely for me to have chats with people just in my comings and goings. But do I communicate deep messages in this? Not so much, because even if I see it, I don't know. Is it something they need to hear or not hear? Is it going to freak them out if I tell them? So just with my own ease and flow of life, I save that more for my inner circle friends who sometimes love it. And sometimes they're like, okay, enough. So, which is
Fair
great.
enough.
You get to have those boundaries.
Yeah, no, it's important. So if I ask you, how many decks of cards do you have?
Yeah. I almost went and started counting them this morning. I'm like, I want to know, but that, get distracted easily. I'd say probably around 30, 28, 30, but I'm often giving them away or buying a new one because it's so pretty, or someone gives it. So there's always they're in motion. And a few years ago when I had a proper in-person studio set up in Vancouver, then I had a beautiful place to display them all. And that was, then it becomes this collection, and now they're in a box. So
Okay.
It's not quite as lovely, but I love them. But I mean, traveling to Italy and being in the tobacco stores and seeing tarot cards for sale, of course I'm going to buy them. I'm like, whatever it is, I want that. So
I know.
That's a pretty weird collection.
I know. My partner started to do tarot cards reading and so forth, and I think he's close to 30 as well. But it's preference of card. It goes really with your preference, right? Colors and so forth. For for me, I'm able to read cards. I use tarot cards, but I use the old Marseille. I'm just a purist for that. But he likes the dark. And like to me, they're so dark. And I'm just like, I can't read from that. I don't get anything. And some people, they like vibrant color, birds, flowers, and everything under the sun. And I couldn't believe it when I went to, to Thailand. We went to Bangkok. How many tarot cards did they have? I was blown away. I'm like, I never see a wall full of tarot cards. And it's just like, when you start searching for them, it's like, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of cards. And so you must be more attracted to beautiful colors and, the pastels and the birds, I guess, as well, or...
For reading, I've got them here. It's a deck called a Golden Tarot by Liz Dean. So it kind of looks like stained glass.
Oh, nice.
And they're very simple, just really minimal. And this is because when I'm intuiting for a client, so much information comes up in my mind's eye and in that higher perception that I want my cards to be just very like Cole's notes. I just need like one little note from them. I don't need a lot. I don't want a lot of symbolism, because then I'll start going into the cards where it's my preference to go into the client energy and just have the cards be a guide, an edge that kind of keeps a nice container for the deeper work. But on that note, on your question about favorite decks, what I think is so fascinating, all the more like evolved or new interpretations of tarot that are coming out. And I thank goodness, for Instagram, where you can go through people's decks and see different interpretations, these ancient cards and symbols being revisioned with maybe a more, postmodern take or contemporary take. It's not necessarily like I need to have all of them, but it's just an interesting discussion when you start looking at this collective archive of tarot cards over the ages, how our conversation changes around the symbols that come up. I find that very interesting.
Yeah. Do you use other tools? Do you use numerology that's related to tarot? Do you use any sisters that's...
astrology, but I keep them separate because I just like the symbolism, looking at the planets and then seeing how they communicate together it will never be boring, right? I'm a curious person by nature, and this way I can just keep digging in, and I'll wake up in the morning sometimes and think of a friend, and then I'll go grab an astrology book and, what does this Venus retrograde in Aquarius mean? And what does that mean for our, I just love learning. So astrology is holds an incredible space for that huge curiosity.
Yeah, astrology is actually really, really big. It's huge. That's more than numerology. It's more than a crystal ball. It's more than pendulum. It is really detailed, and it goes to like when you go precise with your birthday and the time you're born and the stars and alignment. It's intense. It's a lot of work. It's intense. It's not like palm reading where the palm, this is it. Right? It's like numerology, this is it. It's quite interesting that you do astrology kind of as well. And do you find you pick up a card per day, or once in a while you just pick up a card that's like, what's going on today? It's like there's something. Did you pick up just one card for yourself and just and read it and so forth?
Yeah. At times, and then I'll use more of an oracle deck that has one specific message, because when I start laying out, like doing a tarot spread for myself as I might work with the client, I get way too much in my head, and then all my analysis comes in, and my psychology and my sabotage and my doubts and my overthink. I'm like, enough. So I just want one card with one message. Yeah. And again, something really beautiful to look at. So I very much enjoy that. And then I can meditate on that card and just sort of walk with it in my periphery throughout the day. I find it quite comforting.
So did you find you change your way of, we just talk about like putting your cards on the table and so forth. Do you have a pattern, or do you do multi-patterns depending on what question? Some people just do 3 cards. Some people do an old X, a circle. Yeah.
Yeah, simple. Like I say simple, but then I'm like, but then I add a bunch more and it gets complicated.
Yeah.
I have a 7-card spread that is my go-to for 90% of going through the readings. And I'll shuffle, and we might revisit that spread a bunch of times depending on what comes up. But also, once those cards have been put out, I'll put a few more down, and then I'll flip the top and bottom, and then I'll open the deck. Like, they're always kind of, it's like I imagine a chef in the kitchen. You're like, and just a little bit more pepper, and now some cayenne. And like, you just like finessing these details. But there is this point that for me, what I just love about this process so much is, say we were in a session together and you're asking about your relationship, all this information comes up, and then it has a completion. It feels like, okay, that's all we can go to in that container of the spread. It's time to reshuffle, and let's revisit it in a new way or a different perspective. And then it's a fresh way of going deeper or looking at different angles, maybe of the same relationship, or switching topics. So there is a completion point where you're like, that's all, folks, for that one. Let's reshuffle, and a fresh slate comes in. So I like that process.
That's amazing. I love your energy. You have an amazing energy, and it will be so easy for a client to be with you because your energy is just so soft approach and very direct. There's no bullshit. You don't look like a bullshit kind of girl. You to the point. It's like, well, you're a 9, right? You're the old soul in numerology. Did a bit of your numbers. So it's very giving. So you're actually very attentive to the needs of your client. And that's why you match very well with your clients, because you take the time to listen. And a lot of people don't.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
So I think it's amazing. So Tegan, how does people could reach you? What's the best way to reach you? If you could give your website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My website is tegantarot.com. So TEGAN and TAROT.com. But Instagram too, there's all the links through Instagram. Those are the 2 ways. It's okay. Like the photos and the website.
And the photo, the website. That's good. So you do booking, obviously, from home. So wherever you are and so forth, we could ask you. And because Zoom is pretty much internationally, so you could go anywhere. So, and then if people want to have one-on-one in your hood, which area are you? Which
I move.
You're a gypsy.
Yeah, BC is my home base.
Okay.
Vancouver, Tofino, Victoria, Comox Valley, like Vancouver Island.
Yep.
I like islands quite a bit. Although as the weather shifts, I'm like, can I get myself to Mexico? Is that something?
Something possible?
It's always the dream, right?
I know. Mostly on the island. I love being on the island because it's so much energy. There's a lot of great energy. You take what is it? Salt Spring Island. It's incredible. It's like the energy in Salt Spring. It's incredible. Like I flew for a long time to Honolulu, and every time I'm in Hawaii, I'm just like, oh my God, this energy of this Mother Earth is just incredible. I just don't know why. It's just everything happens all the time. So I find energy-wise is very, very good. And it's okay to be not just in the city. I'm in a city, but when I do numerology and tarot cards, I love being outside. I've been like different areas. I just find, it feels more accurate to me. There's less distraction in the world. I find to be... Yeah,
our environments shift us, right? And especially being around big bodies of water or old trees or just even ancient buildings. Like, in Montreal or the East Coast, there's so many layers of history in the land and the architecture that holds a space that's really unique as well. So there's... it's just fun to be alive and feel everything. Yeah. It's a good time.
So people actually could reach out through your website. Can they buy a gift certificate for somebody else? Do you do such a thing? It's like, because it's Christmas coming around, all the holidays, and Some people are looking maybe to buy for a birthday gift or something.
Yeah, I would say if you're interested in astrology, it tends to be that end of the year where it's like, did I do all the things I needed to do this year, or what's on the horizon for next year? So I have noticed a bit of a bump up in the astrology bookings. And I would just say to those, people are listening to this in real time, book in sooner than later. You can always cancel your appointment if you don't want it, but it's hard if you want, January comes and you're like, I don't want to wait till February, oh, I want to get in now. So
we're busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your personal take on next year?
Oh my God. How much time do you have?
I know, right? It's like
it's good, right? It's like things are moving. We definitely need change. There's so many changes happening. I think the bigger themes like old ways, old structures just aren't functioning in a progressive way. So there will be change in those, kind of like the Tower card, things that aren't meant to go any further are going to start grinding down or coming to a halt. And that can be scary, but it also, you got to remember, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So if something looks dark and scary, there's a new light, new space, brand new ways of that energy to flow that can take us further. So I think as a collective of humans, we're really being asked to have faith. Yeah. And breathe through this, and we're all in it together. And this isn't meant to life isn't meant to crush us down. We're here to learn and grow, and how we do that as individuals is very unique and different.
Yeah. You said one very important word that people tend to forget: breathe.
Breathe. Yeah.
It's like a lot of people.
Myself too. I'm like, I got so much to say.
I know. We don't take the time and breathe, and it's just like, really, people, just calm down. Things. One thing at a time. I'm telling you, I see that on the flight every day. So I'm just like, calm down. Safety first. But yeah, no, it's in 2020, the year coming up, 2024, it's going to be very interesting. It's year 8 as well. So money for finance and everything. So like you said, people will be shifting a lot of things. So
I'm going to do a little add-on there. April 20th, I know our famous 420. Yeah. There's an astrological dynamic with Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus. That's what we're looking at. So when you talk about money and number 8, there's like April's going to be interesting, don't want to get into like predicting, because everything I see it circular. Many things are going to shift, but that will be an expansive time for really prolific change. And, it's I'll just put one little dot on the map there for next year. That's good. And thank you for adding the number 8, because that only intensifies things.
Oh, yeah. So thank you so much, Tegan. And for our listener out there, to reach out, Tegan, go on the website, tegantarot.com, and you'll be able to reach Tegan. And if you have astrology mapping to do for January, please do as soon as possible. Don't wait till the last minute. And those are great gift to give to people as well, for birthdays or weddings and so forth at any time of the year. It's a great gift for future, to have your tarot done even by Zoom and so forth. It's an incredible experience to have and clarity in our questions that we have. And Tegan is there to help you. So please follow Tegan at tegantarot.com on Instagram or on our website. Follow Tegan and she will answer your clarity. Thank you so much, Tegan, today for the incredible show. I look forward to meet you in person. Thank you. Have a great day and see you soon.